Hi everyone, Paul here from LIFT-iQ, here to talk to you today about the technology behind LIFT-iQ and how it can help guide your training to your genetic strengths for faster results. Okay, if you're training for muscular development, there are two critical factors that we have not been able to measure to date, but they're the key to building muscle. At the moment, we're only looking at weights and reps, and generally people are confused. Do I use heavy weights, light weights, high reps, low reps? What best suits me? Now, if we look at weights and reps, that's really only part of the picture. Now, technology can bring in a couple more elements that are going to help you significantly in your training. So one way we can look at this, I think, with a good analogy is typically we look at the muscle fiber types. And of course, we'll look at type 1, type 2, and then we'll break them down to type 2A and 2B as well. However, that's only a small part of the system, the equation really, because we need to look at their complete performance. If we think of an engine, the muscle really is like the engine. You've got the fuel, the electrical system, your timing, the air, and whether that's forced in through a turbo or not. And these elements all come together to create performance. Now within the muscle system, our performance is made up, of course, of the muscle fibers that we mentioned earlier. We also then have our mitochondria, we have our cytoplasmic reticulum, we have our ATP, PC cycle, we have water, we've got oxygen from the capillarization. We also have the elements within the muscle that cause the muscle firing, such as your potassium, your calcium, and sodium. And all of these things have to work together to create the performance. So we talk in terms at LIFT-iQ not of just the muscle, but of the muscle system. And what we have to do is monitor that system and try and get the peak performance out of all of these things as they work together. And that's a function of your genetics. Okay, so having now looked at those elements that are important in addition to create the stress on the muscle, let's look at the way that LIFT-iQ does this. If we look at, say, the options that you have, where this is your weight, your reps, time and attention, and intensity. So let's say, for instance, we choose a weight, we do a certain number of reps with that weight, our time and attention is moderate, our intensity might be reasonably high. Now the second time we attempt, let's say we try a higher weight, the reps are going to drop, of course. Let's say we keep our time and attention the same, and you might find you get a bit more intensity, potentially. LIFT-iQ can monitor that. Let's say the third time we come along, we actually try a lighter weight, you're going to get higher reps. Let's say we try a higher time and attention, and you might get, say, a fairly high to moderate intensity. What LIFT-iQ does basically is assesses the trade-offs between each of these. So it might rate number 1 as here, number 2 as being here, and number 3 might have been here. And it's going to identify that as a better workout. So if we look at the process that's actually happening in the background for that, what we have is our muscle system. We have an input into that system and an output. Now what I mean by that, the input is what you attempt. So it might be the 3 sets, the 10 at 50, whatever your target is. The output is what you actually achieve. LIFT-iQ will look at what you are trying to do, it'll look at what you've actually achieved. It will then compute the value of that workout, compare it with what you've done in the past, and set a new target for you. The new target becomes your new input. You attempt that that system, that becomes your output, which LIFT-iQ can monitor and watch. It gathers more data, it assesses that. Was that better or worse? Which way is this muscle system going? And it can gradually start to improve that target in line with your genetic strengths. Okay, so that brings us then finally to our how-to, how does it work? I'll just very quickly then show you the technical elements within LIFT-iQ that make all of this possible. So of course with LIFT-iQ you have your smartwatch. Within that watch we have an accelerometer with XYZ axes. It will monitor and watch how you actually do the movements. That data through Bluetooth will go to your mobile phone where we're running LIFT-iQ. The LIFT-iQ system will receive this data from your smartwatch. It will then compute the value of that workout and store it in your database. What it then does is build up over a period of time this trend analysis. And it can see where you're performing at an optimal level and set a target for you, which you then attempt. So this is how we achieve that feedback loop that I just explained using the technology of LIFT-iQ. Okay, so if we now look at the way that LIFT-iQ will bring all these things together and have you training in a way to maximize your results by optimizing the working of all these elements within your muscle. You set your target normally, of course you know how many sets you're going to achieve. We're going to be working with a certain weight. And of course you have a certain rep target that you're trying to achieve. Now the other, as we mentioned, the two critical bits of information that we're typically missing and we haven't been able to measure to date is our time under tension for each rep, how much are we actually working, and then our intensity. So comes down to our rest period and how fast we are actually working or getting this complete amount of work compressed into a period of time. So we might, for instance, have, let's say it's 3 sets. We're working with a moderate weight. We're going to go fairly low TUT, maybe 2. Our rest periods might be, our reps might be relatively high, and our intensity might be quite high. So this is going to look something like this. This is our LIFT-iQ pentagon, which basically represents the effective load on the muscle of all these elements. Now, of course, you do the number of sets required. You're working with the weight that is specified. Let's say you don't quite achieve your time and attention and you miss out on a couple of reps, but your intensity is a bit higher. So in fact, your workout might look like that. There was the target. Here's what you've actually achieved. Now, LIFT-iQ will then compute the effective value of that and work out in that trade-off between time and attention and weights and reps and rest periods, was that actually better for you or not? If this workout is not as effective as your previous one, it's going to guide you back to where you best perform. If, however, by increasing your intensity, even if you drop some reps, it said, actually, that's a better workout for you, that'll go in your database, and next time it's going to adjust your targets towards that style of training. So LIFT-iQ effectively learns more about you every time you train, and it will guide you and keep learning more and more as it sets targets. You attempt the target and it will record your performance. And that basically is how technology now is able to assess your workouts completely, fully, and using LIFT-iQ go a step further to actually predict and guide you to where you're going to get the best results according to your genetic strengths. Thank you.